Hello and welcome to Meet the MLUC Parish Nurse and Baer Clark. My name is Jessica Hirsch, Lynn, and I'm the membership coordinator and happy to see you here today. Anne, thanks for joining me. I would love for visitors to the church to get to know you a little bit and your background and what you do at the church and ways you can be of service to them as members of the community and also ways they might volunteer uh, in the work that you do. So anyway, welcome. Let's start with just a little bit of your background.
Well, since I'm 70, I have kind of a big background. So let me talk about my background that is, that is relevant to here. I've been with MLUC now for a year. I kind of found myself at MLUC at this moment in my career where I had retired from the bedside of a long career of hospice nursing. And the parish nurse, Jan Kaufman, that had been in this position, my position, for 8 years prior to me coming, I knew through hospice circles and had always been very intrigued by this position because it brought in a lot of things that I am interested in, trained in besides hospice work. So we would talk periodically over our meetings about MLUC. And I just happened to be at the right place at the right time at MLC when Jan announced her retirement. So I called Jan right up and asked who was replacing her, and she said, maybe you,
That sounds like Jan.
which was just wonderful. So I got in and got an interview with Neil Jones at that point, and who is still for a little while longer our minister, and had a significant interview with him and was hired, and have fallen right into this community that is truly a community grounded in love. That's all I can say. I'm a Quaker, so there are a lot of similarities between our communities. There is no covenant per se, so I didn't have to learn any liturgy. I didn't have to learn any way to pray, specifically to be able to worship with people. And what I have learned about parish nursing, which I just adore, is that my role really is one of uh, being with the spirit of the congregant, which is so delicious to me.
Yes,
So,
perfect.
yeah, really, what it just couldn't be better than that. So, and I, from my years of hospice, I know that spirit is infused in our bodies and in our emotions and in our minds and in all of our animated selves. And it is what, in my experience, transcends this physical experience called life.
Yes.
So I'm delighted that that's my job.
Well, tell us more about your job, your work.
Okay.
What do you do with the community?
So I run a couple of support groups. One is our Parkinson's support group, which meets once a month. So people with Parkinson's disease and their loved ones gather once a month just to share information and support one another. We talk about doctor's visits and latest medications and new treatments and the bumpy road and the unknowns of Parkinson's, and the successes also that people are having with treatment and successes with exercise. Especially this group has gotten me exercising, which is really something they very much have motivated me. I too have a movement disorder, so I've gained a lot of knowledge from these guys. And that's one thing that I will say about the congregants of MLUC. They're very, very educated people for the most part. So that's one thing, you get a wealth of information just by hanging out with folks at MLUC. So that's the Parkinson's group. And right now it's just people from the church, but there is a thought of inviting people from the outside if they're vetted from other members. So that's always a possibility. And then another group that I run is our caregivers support group. So that is a group of members, church members, who are primary caregivers for loved ones at home. And we meet every other week. And that's a very solid group of members that really are in the trenches, working 24/7 for their loved ones, and shouldering the burden of that, and there to support each other. Today, in fact, we're all got a candle lit for one of our members who's undergoing a stressful situation. So we're all standing in solidarity with that person right now by lighting a candle and recognizing this moment as a difficult one for her. And so that we just and we're doing all of this through Zoom, which is quite remarkable, but works. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
And then we have our conversations on aging, which is a very feisty group of people that often it can be a very large group of people. We have a number of congregants living in continuing care retirement residences like Dunwoody or Waverly, or any number of centers like that. And they join us once a month, and we explore really deep, difficult topics like end of life. And sometimes we stay on topic and sometimes we don't. It just depends on which way we're going. But we have a pretty solid group of people that come together once a month to talk about what it's like to be aging in 2020, separated from our loved ones.
Right.
And that's, this has been a really challenging time. And then, so right now, those are the three groups that I am facilitating. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about what you do in terms of working with individuals and the stuff of life that comes up that they need a nurse to talk to.
Yeah, so that would be really like navigation. So I look at it as being available to support the discernment of health issues. So being available to the congregant to talk through medical decision making. I'm really interested in supporting advanced directives in particular. But, and you know, that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in your 10-year-old. I am interested in your 10-year-old, or vaccinations is a big one also. But I'm here to help you find your path with your health care. And it's not about what I think is best, it's what you think is best. And so I welcome those conversations so that we can together find out what is really true for you in your healthcare decision making. Yeah.
That's great. So if someone were, say, working in healthcare themselves and are interested in doing some volunteering at the church for or with you, what kinds of opportunities would be available?
Well, so that, you know, before COVID, there were more opportunities to companion folks, right? And we had, you know, our our volunteers that would actually do just that, one-on-one companioning, and that was a great service. And now what we have is more Zooming or just phone calls,
Right.
really. Phone calls, weekly phone calls. And I have to say that, you know, that I have, that's, that in an odd way has worked. And we have volunteers from the church that are in medical school in Texas, right?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, volunteering with an elder of the church in Berwyn. So those two are having monthly conversations. You know, so you know, the volunteering now is much more long distance than it used to be, as is the Zoom grouping. So, you know, the facilitating groups now are not, because they're not one-on-one and they're Zooming, people can join in from long distances. So that's kind of, you know, changed the volunteer
Right.
aspect of it. I'd have to say that it's really kind of leveled out.
Well, we'll have to make another video, hopefully in under a year, and talk about being back in person.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share for people who are exploring the church or wanting to learn more about what you do?
I'm just here really again to support your spiritual journey. And every aspect of your life informs your spiritual journey. So don't hesitate to call me. That's all.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jessica.
Yeah, and all of the staff email addresses and phone numbers can be found on the church website, mluc.org.
Mhm. Okay.
Thank you.